And we're on. So here we are, guys, at the 2014 E-Fest. To my left here is Brandon Derr, and then on the right is the one and only Hurricane Ben Batts. Okay, so we'll start out with Ben. So Ben, tell us when you got here, you know, how long the drive was, and just what the process was of getting to this event.
Alright, well, of course we all know the weather hasn't been good, and it's usually a 2-hour drive. Took me 3 hours. Got here last night at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and
went to Myers.
Went to Myers, saw somebody I didn't, and kind of embarrassed myself.
Say bye?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so Brandon, how long did it take you to get to this event?
Well, I left Friday and it took me like 2 hours to get here, like totally, but it should have only took us like 1.5. The weather's bad, but yeah, we got here pretty late on Friday.
Okay. So how many E-Fests have you been to so far, Brandon?
Second one. So
okay. And you, Ben?
I've been coming to E-Fest since 2009.
Wow. Every year?
Yep, every year. Haven't missed one yet.
So let's get to later on this season. Ben, start with you. What events are you planning on doing this year?
The events, plan on, of course, yeah, we're here at E-Fest. Kick it off for the 2014 year. Plan on doing the Fataba XFC.
Yep.
The King 50, of course. And then before filming season's over with, I got a contest coming up in next month, actually, for the F3P Team Trials.
Okay.
Representing the U.S. Want to see what I can do there.
So that is basically kind of, for all the competition indoor pilots here in the U.S., is basically replacing the ETOC.
Pretty much, yeah.
Other than the freestyle portion.
Yeah, it's just pattern only, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Will you be making it to the Joe and All event?
Joe and All, as of right now, it's a toss-up. It all depends if I have money for it. So we'll see when it gets closer.
Okay. So what events are on your calendar for this season, Brandon?
Well, first I'm here at E-Fest, obviously, and then I'm hoping to make it to XFC. Well, I am going to XFC just to watch, not really competing. Then I'm going to compete at 50. That's my first.
I had to get closer because of the volume.
And then I'm hoping to make it to Horizon Indoor.
Okay.
I think that's like November, not sure though. But yeah, that's all right there.
So, you know, coming into an event like this, having, you know, kind of a long break from the last event, is there anything to get really used to as far as all the breaks you've had?
Flying with multiple planes in the air again.
Yeah.
Getting the nerves over that, because there's new pilots here that have never flown in the air with the other people before, and they are just crazy.
Yeah. So as far as the airplanes go, about how much time do you spend on building airplanes, getting ready for an event like this, or any event, Joe and All, XFC, King 50, anything?
For indoor especially, for competition airplanes, I spend probably close to between 60 and 70 hours on building and setup.
Okay.
For like XFC, a couple weeks on programming, you know, of course at least a week to build the plane, and so.
Okay. And Brandon, how long, you know, not a whole lot of people have seen you at these events, but you know, some of the pilots, you know, even if they haven't been seen, they've still been going to events for several years.
Yep.
How many events have you been to so far, and how long have you been flying?
Well, I've been flying 3D for about 1.5 to 2 years. Flying in general for probably about two or three.
Okay.
2 or 3, yeah. And then I haven't gone to very many events at all, actually. Last year was my first year actually trying to get to many events. I'm hoping this year will be big, though, as far as getting more events. Hopefully Joe and All next year and stuff.
Yeah.
But, yep, I'm pretty much new to all the events and stuff.
Okay. We'll go to Ben for this next question.
Oh, boy.
Now, as you have been competing in XFC and King 50 the past few years, you know, a lot of people, you know, they'll see a good routine, but you know, I noticed several good routines they'll take different amounts of times to put together. You know, I've seen people put together a really good routine in half an hour to weeks. So you know, when you go into and put together a routine, do you set a time limit to yourself, or how long do you start prepping for a contest before it actually happens to get your routine done and have the right amount of time to practice?
Well, I guess it all really depends on like what the contest is, on which contest I'm planning for. Like let's take XFC for example. For like the known, it took me a little bit longer because I had to incorporate 3 maneuvers in the freestyle. So I ended up planning for 2 freestyles. I planned like a couple months in advance. That way I could gather songs, get ideas of how I wanted to do stuff. And this one, it's gonna be I'm gonna be improving on this one. So this one's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
No, I'd say minimum 2 months in advance.
Okay.
And each day I work on it here and there all day. So.
Now, speaking of XFC and knowns, you know, there's a whole different format, and they just released the known maneuvers on February 10th. What questions do you have? What are you not excited about, and what are you excited about?
Definitely excited on having a flight just to fly the known maneuvers.
Yeah.
It's going to be different. It's going to kind of be like E-Talk, where you have a known and it's just the pattern and then freestyle.
Yep.
So it kind of makes you, I feel for me, it kind of relaxes your mind a little bit more.
Okay.
The freestyle, definitely like where it's an actual freestyle and you have no limit on what you can do. All the maneuvers I have questions on just how well they should be done and how well, like, on the execution, on how I should be doing this, how should I be doing that. Just the basic questions that everybody would have been having.
Now, with the weather being as bad as it is, have you been having much sim time since the knowns have been released and practicing them?
Every chance I get, yeah. Especially with the way the weather is, it's nothing but sim time for us back at home in Indiana.
Yep. How do the known maneuvers feel, and compared to other years like 2012 and 13?
2012 and 13, the comparison, I feel like it's a lot more challenging since the combination maneuvers. But I feel like for everybody that is actually able to compete in XFC, it's really going to bring out the best in everybody.
Yep.
At where the level where everybody's at nowadays.
So the pilot who wins this event is basically the best all-around pilot out there, with great precision, one that can throw a 3D flight down, and who can incorporate some good choreographed music to a flight as well.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
So, Brandon, you're not competing in the XFC, but how do you feel about the known maneuvers? And you know, I noticed when before I did XFC, I would practice the known maneuvers ahead of time to get used to the process. Now, do you do the same, or what are you going about this?
Well, last year, I know like it had to be like last year I was working on the known maneuvers. I was actually flying them because I was telling everybody I was practicing that way I could tell people that I could actually do it, I could try to compete. But I knew I wasn't good enough, at least I couldn't keep up with the good pilots, the great pilots, which is going to be what's flying there. This year I haven't actually really practiced any of them. I've liked the flat spins. I've tried, I might try to practice those a couple times, but it's going to be hard because the way you have to keep the same heading and stuff, it's going to be really cool to watch, but I don't know about you, it's going to be really hard to do.
Yeah. So, you know, there's several stresses to a contest, as Ben Batts knows. So, you know, the past few years, you know, it's tough. I think everyone's had their struggles with equipment, prepping, whatever it should be. What are you changing this year to make that a little more bulletproof, to where you can practice, show up at the event, practice more, and fly in the contests, and not have to do as many repairs or have as much bad luck?
Definitely have everything done in enough time before the contest instead of waiting until the last minute like I've had to do in the past.
Yep, it's good to have your routines done before you show up.
Yeah, definitely. With all the struggles I've had in the past, I know it's definitely going to be a big change for me doing, making sure everything's going to be just top-notch months before the contest is even here.
Yep.
That way, if something goes wrong, I know I have enough time to fix it and still have enough time to practice.
Now, you don't have to get into details as far as airplanes go, but with the new format, you can just answer this simply. Are you planning on having backup planes? So if something happens, you know, with all the different format and all the variety that you need to compete in, you have a backup airplane.
If all goes well, yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So, and past XFC, where do you go after XFC as far as King 50 goes? And if you want to, you can even touch on after that.
Basically, after XFC, it's basically practice time for King 50.
Yeah.
So much closer together this year, and I plan on having my King 50 stuff done before XFC. That way I can just, right after XFC, I can just concentrate on that and practice.
Okay. So in past years, is there any gap but after XFC to relax and then head into King 50, or is it right after XFC you start practicing?
There's probably, I'd say there's probably about a week of relax time before I have to like buckle down and start practicing and concentrating on the contest. So in between there is a little bit of time, but.
Now, a question I have for you, you flew your plane at XFC, then got a new plane for King 50. How long did it take you to build that plane, and how much practice time did you really have out at the field with that thing?
For the plane I flew after XFC?
The 80-inch edge you flew at King 50.
I got that a week before the contest.
Okay.
Built that in 3 days and had 2 days of practice.
Okay. Well, you did pretty good for 2 days of practice. I was really impressed with your flight. I'll have to tell you that when I was watching your flight, I thought I was going to get my butt whooped. But yeah, really nice job. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with this year at King 50. And another new coming King 50 pilot, Brandon.
Of course.
With no King 50 experience, what are you doing to prepare yourself best way possible for this event?
Well, I'm trying to make the best routine I can, and that, like, I've had tons. I've been working on them all the time. I probably have like 3 different ones I'm working at a time right now. As of now, trying to figure out like what I'm going to do and try and get the best maneuvers and try and incorporate everything that the judges are going to look for into a 3-minute routine or 4-minute. I think it's 3 minutes, and it's just hard, I think, to try. Like, I have a lot of what's it called? I'm gonna say like I look up to the pilots that are able to do all that in like a small amount of time and get everything to where it's like the best of the best in that small little routine that you have in 3 minutes.
Yep. Now, Ben, you can even agree with this depending on his answer for a more experienced pilot. But for a new pilot even, what is the hardest part of putting together a routine as far as the criteria goes? We'll start with King 50 since both of you are doing that. What is the hardest criteria to hit that is on that list?
On the King 50 list, I would have to say the wow factor.
Yeah.
Most definitely, because there's people that will, like Jace, of course, the wingtip smoke, the fireworks in the past, that's a huge wow factor. And to incorporate that into your freestyle, it's awesome. Touching the ground, there's a lot of pilots that don't want to take that chance, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is, I feel, the most difficult criteria that's on the list.
Now, one thing that I can think of with experience is, you know, like I said, wild factor and execution.
Definitely.
You know, once you have a good routine down, it doesn't matter unless you fly it good.
Yep.
I've learned that before. You know, there's one flight and you got to nail it in that one flight, and that really brings the nerves up.
Yes,
It's gonna be hard for King 50 in one flight.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
why it's best to have a lot of time to practice.
heading into your flight, waiting in line, next person up, what preps yourself so that you can calm down and fly your flight at best execution possible and really bring out the routine and fly it to its best potential?
I guess thinking about all the people that are there to support me, there to basically just, no matter how I do, I know they're going to be happy with what I've done. Think about what I've done in the past and practicing what not to do, what to do, when to do it, and basically just try to stay calm thinking about all those things.
Yep. So Ben, zoomed in a little too much there maybe, but so Ben, how long have you been really competing in competition? I know you've done IMAC and freestyle for a while too. When did you really get started? What got you started in competition? And then we'll touch on that some more.
What got me started was Seth Owen.
Okay.
Seeing him at a local fly-in, and back in 2007, and that's when it all kicked off.
Okay.
And 2008 was my first year flying, and that's when my competition flying started.
How did you get into the hobby in general?
The hobby in general, my dad.
Okay.
I went back, been around this my whole life. My dad taught my brother, my grandpa taught my dad, and then with me it just kind of stuck, and the interest just kept going up.
Okay. So how many years do you have RC experience?
RC experience.
Get a little closer to pick up some volume.
Let's see. I'd say close to. There was a time where I took like 3 years off, where I did no flying at all for 3 years. But without that, I think I have around 13, 14 years of experience.
Okay. And you said how many years, Brandon?
3 years total probably flying, like just in general, like a super cup from Hobby Zone, and then like a year and a half of 3D.
Okay. So Ben, seeing these people like Brandon only have a few years of experience coming up with a lot of talent, how does that make you feel? And what, even what was different when you, maybe 3 years into the hobby, what was different that made you not come up so quick?
Well, of course, seeing new young pilots like Brandon here, definitely excited to see people with a lot of good talent and potential to be able to compete in the XFC or King 50 or so on. But now, getting into it, getting started, the technology and just the quality of everything is just skyrocketing. You don't have to worry about, oh, if I do a snap roll too hard, the wings are going to break, or it's going to crack the fuse, or anything. You can basically fly the plane and try to break it.
Now, let's go from when you first got into competition, looking on to 2014, and when you first got in competition, what did you think the technology was going to be like in 2014?
Honestly, back then I had no idea, because back then the DX Spectrum just came out with the DX7, and that's when everybody was leery.
And now you got the DX18 right there.
Now I'm getting the DX18. It's just it's totally different from 2008 to 2014. So
Yeah, I never flew
yeah.
What do you think it's going to be like 7-10 years from now?
Pretty much, yeah. You think it, and it's going to do it. It's going to be different. Possibilities are endless.
Yep.
Sky's your limit on what it could be like in 7-10 years from now.
One thing I've noticed is longevity for pilots in this competing. How fast has time went by the past few years competing since you started XFC?
Oh man.
How fast has it went by?
Since the first XFC, it feels like 2012 was just a month ago. It's more, I feel like the more competitions you do, the less time you have. You're always preparing for something, you're always practicing for something, you're always doing something with contests. So it's different.
Now, you know, you're still pretty young. How old are you?
21.
Okay, still pretty young. You know, in years past, I think even when the hobby first started, you know, the pilots were a little older than the pilots who are competing now. So, you know, you still have a long competition career ahead of you.
Oh yeah.
Even for being 21, that's pretty young. And Brandon, what got you into the competition, really?
Competition is, I saw a guy named Christopher Genie. I saw him fly at my local field, and I was just like, I could beat him one day.
Yeah.
And then I just started on the simulator, and I just tried to fly like him, and I pretty much taught myself how to do this stuff.
Okay. So for both of you, we'll start with Ben. What, you know, wrapping up the season, October, November, even September, what events do you hit and prep to go into indoor season? Or are you already into indoor season at that time?
I'm basically getting everything ready for indoor season. I end the season by doing some local demos for local fields and stuff, and then after those are done, it's nothing but indoor season from there on out.
Yep.
So,
how about you, Brandon?
Getting prep for indoor season is just building planes, and not really anything as of now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it gets more exciting.
So, you know, XFC's not the only change this year. Talk about some other changes that, you know, is from ETOC, XFC, King 50. There's changes.
Yeah, the ETOC is probably one big change. As far as I can remember, they've had ETOC going on since this leader show was going. So it's definitely a big change that ETOC is not happening this year. But in place in March, there is an F3P contest taking place for people to shoot. Basically, if they never tried to come out and try it, for the expert pilots to try and qualify for a spot on the U.S. team. So it's not the fact that it's a letdown of ETOC not happening. It's kind of a reward to people that are wanting to do good competitions.
Yeah.
So
now, talk a little more about King 50 as far as location change. I don't think we talked about that yet.
Definitely feel like it's a better location.
Yeah.
No more trees right in front of our faces. A lot more room to have a lot more variety of flying styles.
Now, I don't think you were at the first King 50, were you, in Napoleon, Ohio? Now, you've probably seen some videos and pictures. Out of all three places where it has taken place, if you were to choose, if you were the one directing the event, where would you pick the best for the King 50?
From pictures and from looking up the new site, I would have to pick the new site.
Yeah.
Just a nice paved runway is definitely a plus.
Yes, paved runway will be good for Ben this year.
Yeah.
Well, let's just put it that way.
Yep. I feel like the newer location is going to be better.
Yeah.
For not just for pilots, but possibly for spectators.
Now, Brandon, if you looked up much of the pictures on Google Earth of all three sites.
Yeah, I definitely hope that this one's going to be better, and I think it's going to be a lot better than the new site. I didn't like the old site because I didn't feel that I could do, like, you couldn't really fly low, far away, like, which is one of the things that I'm hoping to incorporate in the routine.
Yep.
But I think it's going to be a lot better. I think we're going to see a lot more variety of people.
Have you been to some of the past Ohio Huck Fests?
No. It's going to be my first year.
So you're looking forward to this one. This is in Michigan, the Mega Huck Fest. I think it's a good move, you know. Definitely closer for us, a lot shorter drive, and trying to make this a 25-minute around there interview. So we'll start with Brandon. Is there anyone you'd like to thank or anything else you'd like to say getting ready for this season?
Well, I'd like to thank my whole family for helping me out and letting me try new things all the time. And thanks to all the sponsored pilots and all the great pilots out there that have helped me out and have talked to me and encouraged me to do cooler stuff and better stuff.
One other thing I want to touch on. Let's talk about your guys' lives out of RC. Okay, I know your life has changed, Ben.
Yeah.
Tell us a little more about that.
Well, since being in RC, definitely had help of family and friends, but now that I'm out living on my own, it's different. I got, you know, the girlfriend, she's helping, but her mom, she's helping, but it's definitely a lot harder being able to do everything on your own.
Now, what's your current occupation right now?
Current occupation is taking classes to get a CDL, and that's going good, so we'll see how that goes in the next week or two. So.
Okay, well, best of luck to you on that.
Thanks.
Now, you're obviously going to school, Brandon, in 7th grade. Tell us a little more about what you have going on outside of RC as well.
Well, outside of RC, I do baseball, which is like, outside of RC, my favorite thing to do. And then I can get really good at psychology and stuff. But outside of that, I want to get my real pilot's license, hopefully. Hopefully I can start doing that. It's like 14, I think it is, when I can start training. I love flying real planes. I've done it before with people, but yeah, that's pretty much it outside of RC stuff.
Now you're 13 years old right now?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you first start baseball?
I've been playing baseball since I could hold a glove. I have pictures when I was like 2 or 3 holding a glove in my hand with my dad. It was
awesome.
My favorite thing to do.
So closing this out, anybody you'd like to thank, sponsors, anybody back at home?
I would love to thank all the sponsors that are helping me out. I'd love to thank Beth, Hannah, and all them for supporting me, and everybody else that's helped me. Tom Sears is a big thanks for the past few years, especially for King 50. So everybody that's been there supporting me and helping me.
Okay. Well, guys, best of luck to you this upcoming season. It's glad seeing you guys again. Long time no see. And I hope you have a good year. No bad luck. All good luck from now on.
Good luck from here on out.
So fist bump, guys.
Hope to see you guys out there.
Yep. Nice talking with you guys.
Yep.